Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Full Embrace podcast for Amidst. I am your gracious, gracious Crystal, and I am so
I'm having a little trouble hearing you, Crystal. Now I can't hear you at all.
hey, and welcome to the Full Embrace podcast. I am your gracious host, Crystal, and I am so excited to be here to be doing this and to be sharing my love, my experience, my everything, and to feed into the souls, into the minds of the people who happen to join in and take some refuge here. I I'm here. This is the first podcast, the first official podcast that I'm actually doing. And 2024 is a great year to do that. If you want more in 2024, I know it's a little cheesy, but that's okay. We're doing it. We're doing better. We're doing more in this year. Um, so I want to spend some time just talking about our 2024 and our ambitions and the things that we have um, learned and lined up from past experiences and how we want to integrate them in this year. And I have a beautiful co-host that I will introduce, or she will introduce herself actually in just a few moments. But before I bring her on, I wanted to just make sure that those of you who tune in and like this type of content understand what the full embrace actually is about. So just a little context, a little history. So by day, I am a super therapist. I am a psychotherapist, and I have been for more than a decade now, maybe closer to 15 years at this point. And in that time, I have come across many people, actually thousands of people, whether in my private practice or in other settings where I have had the privilege of learning through them and from them, just about the importance of wellness and mental health. But the people that I've worked with and got to serve, um, the situations that stood out to me the most were those that were dealing with self esteem and how you saw yourself in life, how authentically you were or they were living or not living. And so that resonated very loudly with me, especially as I was approaching a new decade of life. Almost turning 40 and realizing and waking up one year that I had not been doing what I had asked and hoped that others would do. Living authentically, living truly, um, and just being present and happy with yourself. So I decided after I determined that my answer to that question, are you being true to yourself? Are you being authentic with yourself? The answer being no, the blessing was on the other side, I had also the decision to do so and to change how I was living and how I was showing up in my own life. So, thus, the idea and the seed was planted for the full embrace, meaning just being completely enamored and completely committed to change when they're in the areas where you feel stifled or stuck or dissatisfied, but also being able to embrace those things that are beautiful about you and learning those things and uncovering those beautiful things and just letting them be. And that's the easiest way, even though it takes some work to get there. It's the easiest way to just live, just being who you are and loving that and being intentional and being authentic. So, just a little history. I'm sure over time in these coming episodes, there will be more of that to show up in my conversations. But for the time being, since I have my guest with me today and I want her to be able to introduce herself, we'll just get into that. So, without further ado, Miss Jocelyn Curry, come on through.
Yay.
Hey.
Crystal, for having me on the Full Embrace. I am a mental health expert. I like to call me a mental health extraordinaire because I've been doing it for about 12 years, a few years shy of Crystal. And I've been in practice for 10 years. Um, I'm also a wellness coach, which is similar to a life coach, just a different label. And I'm a founder of a nonprofit organization designed for male, getting African American males counseling called Mind Right Organization. I'm a writer and I'm working on being a motivational speaker. Tell you a little bit about my history. I became a licensed professional counselor in 2014, and that was around the time I started my private practice. I in 2018 was when I founded Mind Right Organization, dedicated to male wellness, and I decided to become a supervisor, the LPC licensed professional counselor supervisor in 2019. I also wrote my first excerpt in a book called Shade No More Pain, a collective of African American women devoted to releasing their trauma and bringing those things to light to let other people know that they're in a safe space. And moving right along to today, we have a long pandemic and years of uncertainty there for a moment where I downsized and recollected my thoughts on how I wanted to do things for the future. And about moving forward to 2023, I decided to launch Jocelyn Curley Speaks with motivational speaking in mind. So, 2024, we are celebrating 10 years in business as an African American woman owned business. And much like Crystal, we're focused on dedicating we're focused on dedicating wellness to our Black community and doing what we can do to spotlight that. And future, I started it. I'm probably going to finish it, and that is my doctorate in clinical psychology. And
All
there it
right.
is.
And there you have it. So needless to
There you
say,
have it.
Miss Jocelyn is the shit. Okay.
I don't know about that, but I'm
She
trying
has
to
it
get
going
there.
on.
I'm trying to
Trying to get
navigate there.
absolutely, absolutely. So she is well credentialed. And behind those credentials, y'all, she is just a human. She's a person just like we all are with our own things. And it's a delight just to be able to have her share, not in just in her expertise professionally, but just, being a fellow person. So today, as I mentioned, I just wanted us to be reflective and talk about 2024. And I know a lot of people have New Year's resolutions and they do all of those things, and that's fine if you subscribe to that. Jocelyn, do you subscribe to New Year's resolutions? Do you do those things?
Somewhat,
Somewhat.
somewhat.
Okay.
I kind of.
Well, I got. Go
I'm a
ahead.
little scared because I don't know if I set my expectations too high and I don't meet them, then I become, in the middle of the year, I may become a little frustrated. So I like to set secure New Year's resolutions, such as I know I want to be a motivational speaker. So I kind of destined that for 2024, like in what I'm going to do and manifest that. So I know I can do that. You know what I mean? I feel that that can happen. But if I set my expectations too high and I say that I can run my business and do all these different hats, then I feel like that might be a little overwhelming. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I do.
So
I do. But I heard you say by the middle of the year you may have given up or gotten frustrated. That's a lot longer than I hold out. Sometimes I'm middle of January and I'm just like, I try again. So,
yeah,
um, so I'm not making necessarily any resolutions. I'm not resolved just to only be. I am looking at myself and how far I've come or not come, over the last year, and deciding whether or not where I am stationed after 2023 is where I want to be stationed, and just um, picking apart some things and just trying to do better. So I have my question, and we're going to discuss these questions about 2024 and just where we're going. What's the trajectory, and what do you project to do in your life? So, first one, the obvious one, like, what are you most looking forward to in this year? Personally, professionally, whatever kind of lead it does.
Well, professionally, I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to, achieve. I don't want to stop moving because I feel like if I stop moving, then I'm not accomplishing anything. So I'm
And that
always coming up with, me, I'm always coming up with something new
yeah.
and some, hey, Crystal, what about such and such thing, so, mainly the motivational speaking and adjusting to being behind the camera such as we are today and just coming out of that shell, that portion of it. Personally, I'd like to actually have a relationship, and get involved in people in a sense and loving who I am more and loving whoever I'm with and you know watching that happen, traveling a little bit and experiencing the other side of life that's not so locked down into working all the time or worried about finances or those types of things. So just being freer. One of the things concepts that my makeup lady has come up with, and we've created a girls' circle, a unit of professional entrepreneurs and women that are just on the move, where we can kind of pray together, we can do things together, we can encourage each other, we can shop and engage in each other's businesses and just promote each other. And so far, it's going pretty well. You're invited as well. I haven't had the chance to get back with you, but that's something else we need to talk about. Is this way of bringing us out in our dynamics? And most of us in this group are African American women, on the move, and we're not always celebrated. You get the cliche people that are celebrated and praised and get the awards. But but to me, the real workers, the real group of women that are really getting in the trenches, we're not celebrated as often as those who brown nose to get their awards and things like
Oh,
that.
not
Yes,
brown
I,
nose.
I
Okay.
said a word, but yeah, but so we're anticipating that we have an event tomorrow uh, that I'll talk to you a little bit more off camera. But there's an event tomorrow called, I believe, I can't remember the name of it, but it's going to be at my makeup artist studio, and she also rents out her studio for events, and it's promoting networking and um, vendors of African American women as well. So it's another way to kind of spread your business and brand and put it out there.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, to the listeners, I've known Jocelyn now for some time, and one thing she does do is she will have a hustle in her bag. Beyonce has hot sauce. She's gonna have a hustle in her bag. And at one point, I have to tell Jocelyn, like, you need to slow down. Like, you are doing a bit too much. And that's
Yeah,
coming from a person who has the tendency to, well, used to have the tendency to do a bit too much. And I'm like, okay, so every once in a while you get to breathe or whatever.
but you were right though, Crystal. You were right, and
Yeah.
I've been burnt out like at least 2 or 3 times in my career, in this career, and I had to stop literally. I may not have always been like Crystal was right, and told you, although
Well,
I
no,
praise you in other
you don't have
instances,
to because
but
I'm not right
but
about a
yeah,
lot.
but I took your advice and I would, and I did. I took, during the pandemic when I downsized for those few years, I did it with the intent to kind of reconnect. We talk about that all the time, just trying to get that groove back and it did me some good because now I know how to prevent the burnout. I know how to do just enough and then say, okay, I need a break and then
Hmm.
come back and do just enough and it works for me now. Being that we're both professionals in the mental health industry, it just we have a more profound way of handling our stress and our problems and
Well, I
it
don't know.
works
I
well.
think some of us are worse than our patients and our clients, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, we know the things to do, but there's a difference between knowing the things to do and actually doing those
And
things.
actually
But
implementing it.
you know, and that's kind of what the full embrace embodies too, because a lot of times we focus too much on one thing and we forget that there are other parts of ourselves, and we don't get to experience ourselves fully because, if you are a goal oriented or career oriented person, other parts of you get sacrificed, and it's not fun. Like, sure, you could have all the accolades, maybe you have some financial freedom, but every other part of you begins to disintegrate. But anyway, that's a whole other topic for another day. Um, what I am looking most to in 2024 is, yeah, there's some things I want to do professionally, and this is one of those things. But mostly just getting in touch with myself, just like I just said. It is so important to me now that I am a woman of a certain age and realize more so the value of time, that it cannot be replaced. I just want to ground myself in what, purpose is, revisiting that, giving myself an opportunity to revisit that and to just be a part of my life. Um, I'll share more of this in another episode, but for a long period of time, for about 10 years, as much as I was working and I thought I was, enlightening and I'm sharing and I'm giving into everybody else's life and doing all those things, I was actually dying, um, emotionally
Good doing it.
and mentally. So, and not just from work, but because I wasn't feeding myself. If you don't feed yourself, you die.
Yeah.
If you don't,
Yeah.
fill your cup up, you cease to exist in a way that is meaningful or pleasurable. And so that's another story. But I for this year I do plan, and I hope to be able to explore um, the depth of me, getting to learn something new about myself, and yeah, that's what I have going on so far. It's not as involved, I guess, but it's a lot easier because I don't want to be in a place where I had so many any longer, especially because I can't go to the store and buy me some time back.
Right.
I can't go and get that.
Right. Right. Because
Time
one
of the essence, as they say.
because one of the things we don't have in is retirement. And so I mean, I want to be able to retire. So I've set a certain age limit, and then I'm gonna, do what I can to make sure that that happens. And then I want to travel. I want to see the world. I want to do other things. As well as now, but I want to do more of those things and not be hustling to a session to meet, a,
Yeah, yeah. I do know.
a person with an issue. So I want to have that flexibility to be able to do some things on a grander scale. You know, after a few years, I'm not going to say what age, but it's
Yeah,
coming. Because we both have talked about that. We both have mentioned how we want to do other things. And so that's definitely in my line of sight. I'm just pushing it. I guess I want to push it just a little bit longer and then do something different. So I do understand where you're coming from.
yeah, yeah. Well, the time is now, and that used to sound so cheesy. I never, being younger, you never really pay attention to some of these cliches. But even if you want to try, I understand in retirement that you want to free travel. In retirement, you want to travel. um,
I
but
want to do
you know,
something now.
yeah,
Yeah.
do it now. Do things now. So we have outlined a little bit of what we are looking forward to. So what is, and I'm looking forward to this question, the biggest life lesson you've had to date up until this point in your life? What
Don't
has been the biggest life
don't be afraid to dream and go after your dreams. A lot of people, uh, well, some people that know me, I guess I make it look easy somewhat, but mental health psychotherapist, it's not an easy job. You know, it's a lot of it can be a lot of work. And the biggest life lessons, this has been my, I've always been a talker. We talked yesterday about me taking pictures and branding and all that kind of stuff. I've always been interested in that. I was making flyers and passing them out for parties when I was in high school. I remember doing that, but my dream was to always work with people. So I've always had it in me, but I know people that are burnt out on, you know, retail job, for instance, and they think that they can just be a counselor, but if you don't have it in you, and you dreaming about being a singer or something like that, I say go for what you know that makes you happy. And honestly, yeah, I wear a lot of hats, as you put it, but I'm happy that way. I like staying busy. I've always been that kind of person. So follow your dreams, because you'll never work a day in your life if you follow your dreams and what you really want out of life. So I encourage my clients to actually decide what makes them happy. And that's like the hardest question for them to answer. They'll be like, okay, I'm gonna have to go home and do this for homework. But you really have to dig deep and find out what it is, because you can be happy as a teacher, you can be happy as a social worker, you can be happy as a garage convenience store attendant or something like that. It just depends on what you want out of life. And that's just been one of the biggest lessons for me, is to follow what it is that I want and to go after it, shamelessly. I used to let people show me, what it was that they wanted from me, but that wasn't what I wanted for myself. So I guess that's my biggest lesson today. It's going for your dreams.
Go after your dreams for sure. I think for me, mine is just be, just be committed, just be available, just be willing, uh, in whatever capacity when it comes to yourself, family, your career. Just be, um, and not putting undue pressure upon yourself, because at the end of the day will come. At some point in life will cease for us, for everybody. We will walk that, and not to sound morbid or dark or anything like that, but there is so much more than the pressure. There's so much more to doing the next thing and always be on a chase. One thing about me and running, I'm not gonna be running too far and too long. So if I'm always constantly in a chase, I'm gonna be, and then when the next opportunity comes, or the next blessing, or the next yes opportunity is available, I'm gonna be too tired to do that, and maybe not
Right.
with. So just be,
And if that makes you happy, then that works for you. Then you're good. You
yeah.
know.
If in deciding what happiness actually is and what it looks like, and has to be something that you define on your own, and it can't be comparable to other people's experience of happiness, because um, I think I heard it, not been preached, because my mission, my assignment, either in a sermon or a song. I think it was a song. I think it was Kirk Franklin, as a matter of fact, where he says, um, in order to be happy, you always have to have something happening. And so if nothing's happening, that means you're not happy, but according to that particular lyric. And I don't want to be in a place where if there's nothing going on, I can't be happy. But sometimes stillness is happy. There is nothing, almost nothing, that to just being able to take off all of release the energy and just sit down.
Hmm.
There is nothing like it, and it looks like you're doing nothing. But even in that, you're healing and that you are covering. And so by default, you're doing something. It just doesn't look like what doing something looks like on the outside. So I look forward to the weekend where I can leave the house. I don't even see what outside looks like. And that's just my plan. So some of those things, one of the things, and you'll find your happiness in whatever lane just being takes you. But anyway, enough of my sing song
Good.
voice.
Yeah.
So also bringing into the discussion some habits, like some habits that you have to unlearn. Lord have mercy, there's a lot of those. So I'm gonna be like the Baptist preacher that say, "I ain't gonna be before you long." When I come across and talk about some of those habits that need to be unlearned, and some of those that need to be built in and customized and learned. But I give you the floor. Are there any habits that you have that you just don't need in 2020?
Being too hands on. If I'm not doing it myself, I feel like it's not gonna get done. And as I'm building in
Therefore,
20,
controlling. You want to be in control of everything. Don't say I said it.
as going forward into 24, I've hired a couple people for the practice, and it's just letting them grow. You know, it's like they're there, they're ready. You know, they're about to be licensed or whatnot, but I'm so nervous about, are they going to be able to do this? Are they going to be able to do that? You know, I was doing all my billing, and as you know, there are, sources out there that'll do the billing for you, but I'm trying to put my hands on it. I'm trying to make sure it gets done right and stuff like that. And I actually hired an admin not too long ago, and she's been working with me for a couple of weeks now. And it's like I give her everything, she takes care of it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, so why you? Well, they had me on the phone too long, and I'm getting anxious and whatnot. But it just, it's just releasing that and allowing somebody to take the reins and and have the faith that they can do the job to the best of their ability and get what you need done. Um, so it's just having that control, like you said, trying to be too controlling, and just we're learning to relax more. It's not something I'm used to doing. I grew up in a household that was super duper controlling, but in a way, it was a good thing, but it was also a habit that, it takes a lot for me to break at this point. But 24, I definitely want to make some changes and try to release some of that because I can't do it all, you know. And I'm learning it quickly.
Mm-hmm. That's great. You all can't do everything. None of us can. And why would you want to? So that's what I'm learning. Like, why do I want
Cause that's all I saw. Was I had a
to?
two
There's
way.
need to unlearn that then.
Yeah, I know I can't blame what I might have encountered years ago, but it's just something that a habit takes what 7 days to break. So
Uh,
is that is that
that's
the
not what you said. It's like 21,
21?
20, 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now I'm at 2 weeks giving this girl my billing. So we gonna see. We gonna see. But hopefully it'll pan out.
It should be. All you got to do is breathe. So is that it? And 24, you're just releasing control, the habit of trying to control something that needs
And just recognizing that certain habits may not be within me now. Like I have a habit of hanging with a particular group, and I don't think that that's where I want to grow into. Like I said, I wanted to form an alliance of young African American women that are entrepreneurs and, you know, good solid foundation leaders and women. and I still want to make that happen. And, what we could do, what we could share with each other, what we could do for each other, kind of like a family outside of my family.
Mhm.
So anyway,
Okay.
that's a little off topic. But
What I mean, what's in you will come out, and obviously, what is in you will come out of you. I said out you. That's just
yeah.
real quick. Yeah, I was just showing all of my country rearing, but
We all
whatever.
got some country
My,
in us.
business it seems to be your blood, and it's pouring. You have a bleeding heart for business.
Too
Um,
much business can kill you in a
yeah.
heartbeat.
Um. Well, I guess one of my habits, like I said, is there's a list. There's a list of those things, but not starting when they finish. And of course, procrastination. Oh, I can do it tomorrow, and determining how I feel or letting how I feel determine what I do. Oh, I'm tired, so I won't go and work out. You know, it's almost to the point where it's an excuse me to Christian, but like fuck your feelings kind of in a way. Like sometimes those feelings and the repeated and learned patterns of thinking get in the way of letting everything else go to the wayside. So I have to work really hard to go past. Oh, I feel tired right now because I don't want to do this. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to ignore my wellness and overfeed myself, but I have to not as many times or not as often say I'm too tired to go for a walk. I know, you know, this is what I need to. These are the things I need to commit to as a person who is getting a little bit older. I think I'm still relatively young, but
Yes,
ish, young-ish,
you are.
maybe on a good day. But now, when you over in that over 40 club, you can't really say, you know. But
Yeah,
whatever,
but
I'm
it's a
here.
lot over 40 than it is, you
It's
know.
different. So being committed to, those actions. But I need to explore a little bit deeper to understand why I keep letting or putting myself in the way of myself. So I can see that this will be the best year that I've had in a minute. So I'm not gonna go too much into my other because we'll be here forever. Um, oh, here's a good one, and I hope those who are listening, who are tuned in, are also answering some of these questions for yourself if you haven't already, so that maybe your 2024 can look different than any other year has. So a big one is what fears are you releasing?
Are you saying personal or like
Well,
business related? Huh?
whatever fears you have, like
I have a fear. I'd rather not say, but I'll talk about it. Uh, but I'm working through it. I'm getting over it. I'm on this podcast. I'm moving forward in that direction. So it's just, 24 is something that is going to surprise even me. It's going to not surprise certain people because hopefully you'll expect it from me. We've been knowing each other so long, but uh, it's going to surprise me. And I'm looking forward to that surprise. I'm gearing up for it. I'm, embracing. I'm fully embracing it, and I can't wait for it to occur. Uh, Everything else so far that's going on in my life, I'm not fearful of. Uh, I have. I'm going to reflect on my parents a little bit. They are uh, moving into their 80s, and I know that you know it's up to the Lord, but I'm prepared. And I say that now, but I'm not scared of moving on. and I'm not scared for them. You know, I love on them as much as possible daily, getting on their nerves still. But, you know, I'm not fearful. Yeah. And you. But I'm not really fearful. I just want to be pleasantly surprised with what I have in store for this year. And as we grow in this podcast, we'll get deeper into that. But, right now I'm still working out the kinks, but I'll have it together, hopefully.
Okay. Well, listen, you are where you are right now. And
True.
like I just said, just be. So being content and present with yourself as is, that is okay. Um, Fears that I am really fear of, I used to be afraid, and I'm kind of at the tail end of a full release of that, of my life not looking exactly how I saw it in my head um, so many years ago. I knew, I knew everything I needed to know about where I was going to go and what it was going to look like in the time frames. But I have been truly humbled in that it's not always going to look as you want it. You can have some of the pieces, some of the greater pieces or the smaller pieces of what your mind's eye wanted you to see. Um, but just like, the rocks in a river are formed and reshaped by the water that flows over them, or the mountains are reshaped by the winds that flow through them or over them. We too, through our experience, have a life that can be reshaped. And it's up to me, myself, and being able to adapt and be in the reshaping of that and find the peace and pleasure in how things go. Not to say that I surrender all my responsibilities for making my life or contributing to the satisfaction of life, but I also realize that I'm not stronger than the wind. And so sometimes I have to put up a sail and just go with it. And that was never anything I was out. If the wind was blowing east, I definitely was better. Like I was not about any of that. So releasing that fear, releasing the fear of success, the fear of opinion. And that's part of the reason why it took me so long to really settle in the podcast. It's been on my heart for a long time. So yeah, that's my release.
Well, you've always kind of been the relaxed person, the more resolved, the more rational. I tended to let my anxieties get the best of me and stuff like that when we first met. And I've known you for, boy, Chris, I've been knowing you since 2013, huh? Yeah, 10 years. So with that, you know, I understand that. They used to call them earthy girls. You tend to be earthy to me, you
Yes,
know.
I am from the earth.
Yeah, and you've always, I think that's why I've kept up such a friendship with you because you've always calmed me down, even at, some of the worst times at our former internship, you just Jocelyn, you have a way of getting there and just calming my nerves. And, I expect you to move in that direction. I expect you to branch out and do something different besides the norm that we started with. And so that influences me because I, I want people like that in my life. I want to grow with people like that. So I say keep doing what you're doing. And even though we don't always see it the same way, you still inspire me. Because sometimes I wonder what would Crystal say. You know, like last night, you was like, "So Jocelyn, so what you gonna do?" You know, so it's like, so I applaud you for that.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'm not gonna cry because that's not what they and I'm just gonna say thank you. And I'm not gonna drop not saying yeah. And y'all excuse me to my listeners. Um, I am feeling very free, so I might not use all the correct vernacular and all of those things. So if you need some assistance, let me know, and I'll try to be a little bit more in the way that I speak. But so getting to wrapping this up, I'm really enjoying and being able to hear your feedback. And so, lastly, and again, to all the listeners, answer this question. Well, what do you plan to fully embrace about yourself, about your life, about relationships, etc.?
To be content, you know, I'm always telling my clients, give yourself your flowers, pat yourself on the back for the things that you have learned and you have done, even if you made some mistakes in life. And it's funny how I can tell them, I can preach that, but I don't necessarily take it. I always feel like I'm the underdog. Like I gotta prove myself. Like I gotta do this or I gotta do that. I really do deep down, but sometimes it's not necessary. And I'm learning that more now. Per our conversation, I'm learning that more now that if it doesn't pertain to me, let it go. And so I'm fully embracing the new me. I will embark on a milestone birthday in a few months. And
Yeah, tell everybody that you're gonna be.
might as well 50.
Girl, yes, yes, ma'am. Five
When
oh.
some people run from it, I'm like, we all we getting old. I mean, it
Yeah.
is what it is. And I mean, I'm not gonna run from it, and I'm excited
I mean, you
about it actually.
can't run
Huh?
from it. You can't run from it. I mean, 50 is gonna be
Yeah, so I'm excited about it, and as such, now I'm finally looking around and saying, Justin, this was kind of cool. It's kind of good that you did this or did that. But I never gave myself a pat on the back. I never approached it as, I had a cousin reach out to me and say, yeah, of course I'm gonna be there. Like, and you thought I wouldn't. This is like, something important for you. And it's kind of like, well, yeah, it should be important for me. So just embracing me and just the growth that I have, and we could go on. Relationships is gonna have to be another podcast
Yes, we're gonna get into all of that, and I can't wait to
because
go deep
because relationships is over there. But
in.
for the most part, fully embracing myself in my life and giving me my flowers and just having fun. At this point, I want to have fun with it. I want people to kind of come to my events, hopefully, and leave. That girl crazy. She cool. She made some interesting points, but she cool. She cool. Because that's what, huh?
Oh,
Because that's what some of my clients and parents that I work with, they'll say that and still call me after. It's hard to disattach from some people, but it's a part of the job. And you do what you can, and you try to change as many lives as you, or help change as many lives as you can. But in the end, you're the one that's got to go home and go to sleep and wake up the next day and start all over.
yeah, very true. Okay, so what I plan to embrace is the process of discovering or rediscovering my good, my bad, my ugly. Um, I plan to embrace the fact that people, you know, actually love me and they want to be in a relationship with me, and so I need to be more open to that. I tend to be to myself. I don't need a lot of people around me. I prefer not to have a lot of people around me. I
I know.
may not see you again for a little while, and I'm fine with that. But I can't be
But I'll call you.
all the time.
Christelle.
I look at the phone later. Yeah, I want to. Should I talk? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, just people want to be in relationship, and I want to allow people to love on me, and I want to be able to allow, well, for me to love on them as well. Um, Embracing change. Every day can be different, and um, as much as I want things to be different, I see that I can. I have to embrace the work that comes with it, and the changes that need to be placed in my life in order to get there, and not just with that personal things and happiness for me, and being more proud in myself, and the things that I used to be insecure about, really looking at them, calling them out. I can do something about those insecurities, doing something about them. I can't do something about whatever it is that might be a permanent state for myself. Being able to like fully accept and not beat myself up over it, be my own worst. Those are my thoughts and my share for 2024. And so everybody else, y'all, welcome to 2024. I really hope that this year for you is life changing, and the year will be life changing, but every day there's something that you are doing to celebrate. And change doesn't mean big drastic change. It means I'm going to decide to think, that I can, or think that I am worth it, or say out loud or write something that says how much I love being loved, and I will love and love despite the unfortunate and the opportunities and all of that. So I really appreciate coming and for the insight, people joining the virtual office, if you will, virtual studio, and and I hope that you're listening and you have really learned something, and you want to come back and hear some more from us. And yeah, that's where I'm at. So, Jocelyn, where can they find
They can find me on several different ways. Um, but I guess the newest way to find me is at Jocelyn Curley Speaks at Instagram.com. JOSLYNCURLEY Speaks at Instagram.com. Um, that's the best way to reach me. I have a couple of things coming up, a couple of events. Um, if you want to find out more information, I guess, and this is bad on my part, um, but we'll be doing more podcasts and we'll be talking more, hopefully. And other than that, that's the best way to reach me. Or I do have a link tree, uh, linktree.com, I think, Legendary JC, and they can find information about my different projects on there as well.
like I said, y'all, it's not a hustle, it's a bag. Way of trying to get stuff. So, if you're interested in any of my services, whether I services, for mental health counseling, or anywhere in the world for life coaching, I can be found at www.mindcounseling.com, or you can email me at info@mindcounseling.com. So that will do it for this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. Invite your friends, come back again, and we will see you next
Bye bye.